Hello, gorgeous humans. What a pleasure to be here today. So, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nadziel. I am a doula. I also provide coaching for individuals and couples. I have four daughters. I have been in the same relationship with the same man for 20 years. And I'm extremely passionate about ecstatic living, giving birth in the most orgasmic way. I'm just very passionate about living a full life and just be unapologetic about it. So, without further ado, I will start by saying that I'm absolutely thrilled that Sarah invited me to share my passion. And she was like, Naz, I'm trying to keep this under like 1 hour, 45 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, I will do my best to keep it under an hour. I get really passionate when I start to like dive into these subjects. So I'll do my best. Last thing I wanted to mention, I'm quite fluent in English. However, it might be a little bit rusty because it's been a while since I've had a full conversation in English. So yeah, let's go in. Let me share my thoughts about the importance of remembering your divine essence in order to step into divine motherhood, divine womanhood, and step into ecstatic motherhood. You will have access to that PDF, and you might actually already have access to it if you want to print it and write notes. If you have questions and you want to connect, please feel free to do so. I'm always so happy to have questions, comments, even if it's just to say hi, what's your name, and introduce yourself. I'm going to be just totally thrilled to respond and say hi and communicate with you. So let me just pull up that screen for you here. So, introduction from divine womanhood to ecstatic motherhood. And let me just take a moment of appreciation for that absolutely beautiful image of this divine woman. Me, every day when I wake up. You, every day when you wake up. Almost. So here it goes. The importance of remembering your divine essence. What I mean by divine essence and the importance of remembering it, and what's the link between stepping into divine womanhood and ecstatic motherhood. When you fully know yourself and you cultivate the energy that circulates within you, you're able to get into a state of overabundance. And when you're in a state of overabundance, taking care of your relationship or being in relationships, partnerships, and taking care of your children does not come from a place of lack and it does not leave you depleted. Everything that you are able to pour into relationships and connections with your husband, wife, daughters, sons, friends, co-workers, any relationship, whatever you pour is overabundance because you're constantly full. You're constantly open to letting vitality and sexual energy flow through you. So it's easy to be there for others because your vitality is so enormous, it's so unlimited that it never leaves you feeling like, ugh, oh no, why my child still asking for something? Oh no, why is this person asking for a follow up? Oh no, why does my husband want to have sex? No, because you're in overabundance. Therefore, it's easy to connect because you're in an exchange of energy between you and the universe and you, and you are the universe, and the universe is you. Anyways, so yeah, ultimately, what I mean by that is remembering your divine essence and allowing yourself to fully be yourself and inhabit your temple, your body, your vehicle for this experience on earth. Well, it makes you ultimately available to fully live ecstatically everything that you want to live and connect ecstatically with everything you want to experience. So here are different ways that I have experienced this journey myself. So in regards to understanding divine essence, there are a few tools that I particularly love. When I was 23, I went to Vipassana, which was a life changing experience. I was so ready for that. And that was my first initiation of profoundly remembering myself. And I went there, and people are like, you're going to see it's so hard. And ultimately, I went there and I'm like, it's, I cannot explain how easy it is. And the reason people say it's really hard is because you find yourself in front of yourself. You have no distractions. It's 10 days of noble silence, meditation, in which you simply connect to your body and observe the sensations in your body and the emotions that are circulating, the sensations that are circulating without judging them. You have no distractions, as I was saying. So you don't have any music, you don't have eye contact, you don't speak to others, you don't read, you don't write. It's you with yourself. Point. And so that was very eye opening, of course, because we always have a tendency to uh, judge ourselves on our self talk. We have a tendency to judge ourselves on the way we feel, the way we think, even on thoughts that we have. And so having that experience was beautiful to really embrace everything that I am, everything that I feel, and to have a radical acceptance of who I am in the now, all the while recognizing the potential within every cell of my body to experience life in the most ecstatic way. So ultimately, meditation is a beautiful tool. For some people who have brain spiciness, it's easier to meditate after like doing extensive exercises, and for some, it's the contrary. So it's easier to tone down the brain spiciness by meditating. But you can meditate in so many different ways. And saying that you don't know how to meditate is bullshit. We all know how to, we just don't do it. You could be meditating while standing in the shower. You can be meditating while writing, um, meditating while walking, dancing. Everything that you do in full consciousness is meditating. Everything you do while feeling extensively, everything in every part of your body is meditation. Meditation ultimately is being fully present in your body in this very moment. That's it. So another tool that I absolutely love, and I mean love, like I use it when I coach, I use it in my family. I pull out my children's charts, my husband's, my mother's. Whenever I go to parties, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to know your human design. So that's a beautiful tool. And for example, it's not that it puts you in a box, it's that it allows you to recognize, see, and understand how energy flows through you, depending on when and where you were incarnated. So it's like it's a mashup of different philosophies and sciences, such as astrology, I Ching, Kabbalah, etc. And they put it all together. And ultimately, you get this beautiful body chart where you see that there are different energy centers and everything. And you can explore um, your energy type, your profile, and your authority. So I will give you my chart as an example. Um, I don't have the visual here, but I will voice it to you. So we have different types of energy. Mine is manifesting generator. I won't go into detail with the others because it's something we can explore one on one. So mine is manifesting generator, which means that I'm multi passionate and I do everything with a lot of passion. I have infinite amount of energy and I have the drive, infinite drive ultimately. My profile is 6'2". So the 6 is like the sage, the person who has the wisdom, like a natural teacher. The 2 is the easy breezy genius. So it's like I understand things super easily, but not just that. The 6'2" is the exemplary human. It's the person who models the ideal version that they would have wished to have as a model when they were younger. For example, motherhood is something that I'm passionate about as a manifesting generator with a sacral authority. So even from the youngest age, my sacral authority was saying, oh my gosh, motherhood and parenting turns me on because I have so many things to learn in that area, things to not repair, but remember, but also that I want to teach to my children and to others who might be interested. And therefore, I became a mother of 4. And I was an easy breezy genius at being a mother, apparently. And people look from the outside and are like, how do you make it look so easy to have 4 children? How do you make it so easy to go back to playing soccer, even with 4 kids? How do you make it look so easy to be able to have energy and like breastfeed while you're doing the groceries at Costco alone with 4 children? These are just a few funny examples. Um, so yeah, that's the easy breezy genius. But ultimately, everything that I have learned and everything that I have integrated through these experiences make it easy for me to teach them too. And as for the sacral authority, it's always guiding me towards things that turn me on, that enhance my vitality, that enhance my desire to live ecstatically. And whenever I'm guided by that, and I let myself be guided by that, I always fall on things or passions that not only serve me to remember who I am, but that also remind me or remind me what I can integrate to then transmit or teach to others. Um, so if you are curious about your human design, you can actually go online and look up your human design and get all the information. You can also go on my human design tools if you want to have like all these different explanations and descriptions of different centers, types, doors, gates, etc. And you have other people who are very much devoted to helping you understand your human design. I use it as a tool, but if you want to geek on the human design, I know many people who will be happy to geek with you on the human design. And the other one is gene keys. So I absolutely love gene keys because it ultimately explains that you are not born with good or bad genes. Everyone has the potential to alchemize and mutate each gene towards its divine version or its shadow version. So let's say that you were born with a gene that is in its shadows because in your lineage, that's how it presented itself. But you have the awareness and the desire and the consciousness to mutate that gene, you can. Um, and so ultimately, what I love about gene keys is that you realize that you have to the potential to alchemize and transmute every gene into its divine version, which makes you not necessarily enlightenment, but it makes you feel whole. It helps you create abundance, connection, and ultimately, it's just a beautiful tool to better understand human relationships too, and your relationship with self. Sexual being, allowing yourself to honor the fact that you are a sexual being and that you have sexual energy, which enhances your vitality, creativity, intuition, and your emotional well being. So it's a core aspect of your identity that fuels your life force. Unfortunately, I don't know for you, but sexuality was very taboo when I was young. So I became a model. You know, sexuality is something that my gut pulled me towards, and I became very passionate about it through preparing myself for orgasmic births, through witnessing so many women give birth. I became passionate about it when I was coaching women who were like, I don't know who I am. I have no libido. I'm having trouble connecting with my body. I have no clue what's an like how to work with my hormones and my infradian rhythm, etc. I became very passionate about also intimacy within couples when I started to coach couples. Of course, my experience in my own marriage was there to teach me and integrate and remember so many things that I was then able to teach to others, um, but all related to sexuality, like how hard it is to be physically intimate if there's no emotional intimacy, and how to teach emotional intimacy to men and let women open up to physical intimacy in a safe way that is not mechanical but very energetic. So, all these things, understanding your sexual energy and your vitality, because they're pretty much the same thing, it's really a core aspect of your identity as a woman. And everything we have learned about sexuality and sensuality is very much tainted by patriarchy and religion. And I could talk about that for so many hours, but I will not go into detail with that because it's hard, but I won't. Okay. Feel free to like come and see me and connect with me if you want to just chat on that because I love it. Okay. So I was saying it's very much tainted by the patriarchy in religion. But for us women to just take back our power regarding sensuality and sexuality and to learn to explore our bodies and feeling safe and comfortable with it would lead to far less violence, abuse, sexual abuse, um, surprise pregnancies, um, endometriosis. Like there are so many things that could be not evaporated, but that would be so much easier to deal with, or that could be, yeah, that would not take place if women were more self-aware and knew their body better and had full confidence in their own capacities to feel and protect and listen to their intuition, etc. Which leads to this next point. So you are a sovereign being. Recognizing yourself as a sovereign being empowers you to make decisions that align with your true self, fostering independence and self reliance, which does not mean that you are fully independent of everything and that you can live alone on an island with nothing and no one. No, humans are interdependent, but we are all codependent because that's what we have learned through our relationship with our parents. We must be or do things in order to be loved. That's not the point. That's not the case, actually. And a part of you actually remembers that. A part of you craves to not look or seek for exterior validation, but recognizing or remembering your divine essence and being full of nothing but yourself and love and self appreciation and radical acceptance of who you are in this moment, of the full spectrum of being a human with the magnificent joys of life and the shadow parts. That's how you become, that's how you pulverize codependency, because you're not seeking always the validation of someone else. And this is something important if you want to, have a better relationship with your children, if you want to bring motherhood to a new whole level. Well, eradicating codependency and switching it up for co-regulation in an interdependent community, which is a family. I mean, recognizing yourself as a sovereign being is key, is so important. So, the impact on motherhood, of course, better mothers. So, when women know themselves deeply, they parent from a place of strength and authenticity. This self knowledge translates into more nurturing, understanding, and resilient mothers. So, let me give you an example about that. Um, Reparenting yourself makes you more aware of how to respond to your children's need. The thing is, because we have not nurtured our inner child, it's difficult to respond to our children's needs without imposing our limits and fears and insecurities. So, to give you an example, um, one of my girls once said to me, "I absolutely hate you, and I would rather die than feel the way I feel right now." Um, and because I was able to reparent myself, I was able to respond to my child. I didn't make her feel guilt for what she said. I didn't make her feel guilty for voicing those feels. I didn't invalidate or try to make her change the way she felt. I simply held her, held space for her. Why? Because I did not take it personally. Clearly, something I have said or done activated something in her. But all I could do is be there for her. And like, thank you for having the courage to say exactly how you feel. And let me know how I can be there for you. That's it. There was another time when my youngest, she was like, "I'm so mad at you that I want to throw you something for to hurt you." And instead of making her feel bad for the way she thought, I was like, "You know what, child? Thank you for having the courage to speak your feels to me. And thank you for voicing what you want to do instead of doing it." These are just examples of how I would have liked to be welcomed in my fields when I was a child. And of course, our parents did the best they could with what they knew and the resources they had. We have the privilege of having so much information and easy access and free access to all this information. Whereas our parents, they didn't have that. And still, they did really beautifully good. Healing generations. Remembering and embracing your true essence helps in healing past wounds and preventing the transmission of trauma in future generation. It creates a legacy of strength and empowerment. Pretty much what I was saying. I will go to the next page and explain something to you about healing future generations and past generations. So, my personal journey of motherhood. So, I'm the mother of four girls, as I have mentioned before, and becoming a mother to four daughters has been a profound journey of self discovery. Each child has mirrored aspects of my essence, helping me reconnect and honor my unique divine self. Observe your own children and how they are also a reflection of your light as well as your shadow. The shadow part is absolutely amazing. So you've heard me mention the fact of, being able to honor the full spectrum of your being, of the fields of your being. And that's the whole point. When I say, what I mean by that is your children is also born into this world being perfect and pure. And pure does not mean without anger. It means honoring and accepting all the parts of themselves. So when you allow your children to um, know how to create space for all these fields, then you're not imposing your own limits. limitations, insecurities, and scares, or fears. Okay, so yeah, um, and that's how remembering the divine essence will help in motherhood. It also help in birthing and pleasure. And what I mean by that is that honoring your sexual energy and understanding its power can transform childbirth from a fearful experience to one of pleasure and empowerment. Pregnancy and birth and fourth trimester and motherhood were never meant to be hard. Not meant to be easy, but never meant to be hard. I mean, once again, patriarchy and religion have really fucked up the way we view pregnancy, birth, motherhood, and relationships, like in marriage in general. But we'll focus here on motherhood and pregnancy. So this approach, in reconnecting to your sexual energy and understanding profoundly what your vehicle looks like, not only on the outside, but on the inside too, exploring your body. It really helps you understand how to bring a child to the world. The vision that we have of that is like it's so hard and it's like you will suffer so much to repent for the pleasure you had in creating that life. But no, it's not meant to be that way. And I truly hope that by understanding and honoring your human experience as a sexual being, both primally and energetically and emotionally, you can change the way you view pregnancy and birth and motherhood. As I said before, if your energetical capacity is so vast, is so large that you can alchemize pretty much any sensation into ecstasy, any shadow into light, then you're able to open up so widely, mentally, emotionally, physically, that it's inevitable that birth becomes something that is pleasurable. Um, and in the four births that I have, one was pleasant and the three others were ecstatic. There was a lot of work behind that of remembering and deprogramming bullshit. But it was absolutely worth it because it not only changed my view on pregnancy and birth, it changed my perspective on life and constant rebirth. I do not resist the change because I am able to withstand the sensation of transmuting, alchemizing, and rebirthing myself on and continuously without ever stopping. Being fully aware of what's happening in our body does help too. So, how it helped in the relations and emotional intelligence. So, of course, with my partner, I've been with him for 20 years. Every time I think about like the first few years of my relationship with Pat, I always think of the song, the Whitney Houston song. He breaks down my walls with the strength of your love. Anyways, from the movie Bodyguard, excellent movie, totally recommend it. Um, but ultimately, in parentheses, his or side note in English, his human design, his cross of incarnation is something to do with like profound revolutionary love, something like that. And he really truly does have that pure love that emanates from him. And at the beginning, because I was not aware of my insecurities and fears and blockages or traumas, I was not allowing that love in. But as soon as it touched my heart, it like filled me with so much self-love, and it just kept on growing throughout the years. So naturally, when we first started going out together, we did not have the maturity or the emotional intelligence or the emotional intimacy that we have now. We've learned so much through me remembering my own essence and him working on reconnecting with his. It deepened our love, of course. We have evolved so much in terms of patience and of mutual growth. We are constantly expanding. And my relationship with Pat, it naturally amplifies everything, the good and the bad. But whenever the bad comes up, the sankaras or the impurities or the blockages, um, we are so grounded in ourselves that it's easy to welcome them and transmute them. And so, yeah, that growing partnership and a deepening partnership with Patrick, which is ever growing, it exemplifies how emotional intelligence and emotional intimacy And connecting to your own divine essence, it actually sustains and deepens every bond. As for my relationship with my mother, I think I had something to say about that, but I cannot remember what it was. I shall read, and if it comes back, I shall share it with you. So, navigating your relationship with your mother will provide insights into generational patterns and the importance of healing these dynamics. It's a continuous journey of learning and forgiveness. Sorry, be curious about your conception, your birth, your mother's childhood, etc. So my mother and I have been. We actually bought a house and we're in an intergenerational house. And so she was very confronted by the way I parent my children, but it actually helped her question herself on her own parenting experiences and on the way she was parented, etc. And it brought us into conversations that were so deep. Also, when I started being curious about, her childhood, how she came into the world, what her first few years were like, what the relationship between her parents were. I was curious about how pregnancy was, how my birth was, and it gave me such a larger perspective on the human and not just the mother. That helped me actually remember um, my own entire essence, and it brought our relationship into such a deep intimacy because we were no longer talking daughter to mother, but we were also talking woman to woman. And so the conversations we have now are so deep and so enriched. They're so rich and expansive and fulfilling. Um, but it all started by being curious about myself, by my feels, about connecting back to my essence, and then being curious about her own journey, and all the questions that I asked and all the experience she witnessed really helped her too to remember her own essence. So that's what I meant about it heals future generations because we start a new path, but it also helps heal older generations because you become an inspiration. So connections with other women. You know, I've been blessed with friendships with other women. It took a long time actually to find my soul sisters, I want to say, because when was younger and I had that connection to my divine essence, and I was thinking, I feel so alone because I feel like I'm not no one else, but then I feel alone. I feel like no one feels as deeply as I feel. No one loves as deeply as I feel. No one is as loyal as I am. No one dreams like I dream. No one has a vision like I have a vision. But then I started to understand that the only reason why I felt so alone is because we are not the majority. We're not the majority. We have like more and more women and men are starting to fully embrace and remember their divine essence. I truly believe that. I see it whenever you're into to this world, or at least that's in my universe, and I'm happy that's where I am. But I do feel that more and more humans are starting to remember their divine essence and their gifts and their abilities. Um, and yeah, it's just fucking beautiful, seriously. But I lived under the illusion that I was alone, but I was not. I kept on being true to myself, and ultimately, with time, I did find these kindred souls, and that blessed me with friendships that really truly bring out the best in me, and that support me unconditionally, that love me unconditionally. Whenever shit hits the fan, either with my husband, with my mother, with the parenting, anything like that, I have friends who I turn to that do not judge me. They don't try to fix anything. They simply witness what I'm going through with love. That's it. And they're like, whatever you're going through right now, even you have 50 red flags that are popping out of your asshole, you're loved as you are right now. Stay safe. And I'm there to support you, whatever you need. So that's the type of womanhood or sisterhood that I feel everyone deserves, right? And actually worked a lot around that because I got to observe throughout my coachings that many women still do not feel comfortable or safe sharing with a group of women, or when they do, they fall into compassion fatigue because the reflex is to, oh, I'm so sorry going through that, and or trying to fix or trying to change other people's how the others feel, like, oh, come to the bar with us and we're going to change your, like, we're going to change your mind, or like get you busy with something else, and now you're not feeling well, okay, we're just going to change that. No, I feel like it's really important to feel safe, to feel all the feels with other women. And unfortunately, because there's still a lot of comparison, and this is all due to part patriarchy, by the way, um, and industrialization. Anyways, so many things. But yeah, there's still a lot of competition, comparison, jealousy, and all these things which actually are normal, but we don't know how to like cope with these. Well, it becomes um, a block or a wall that's between you and the intimacy you can feel with other women. And there's something absolutely sacred about not having these walls, about being able to let your armor down completely and surrender to your beautiful vulnerability in front of other women who are simply witnesses to what you're going through. Anyways, beautiful things. So, building strong, supportive relationships with other women fosters a sense of community and shared wisdom. I once held a container that was, I cannot remember the name, but ultimately it was, recognizing the fact that every woman holds wisdom within her. Every woman holds truths that are meant to be shared. Every woman holds a medicine because you hold creative energy through your vitality and sexual energy as a woman, as a because you have a womb and it's a space to create a new reality, right? Um, and it was just beautiful to see how many people just found their voice in that container and were able to now share their truths either in social media or simply with their families or with their friends. And it really changed their life. And that makes me really, really happy. So these connections are crucial for collective healing and growth, as I was saying. Embodying safety in such relationships will inspire your own children to find their own soul fam. And I want to go a little bit deeper into that, just to state that when you have remembered, or when you are in the process of remembering your divine essence, and that you love yourself unconditionally, that you have a radical acceptance of who you are in this present moment, um, you are so safe at feeling what you're feeling that the support or the validation that you receive from the exterior is just a bonus. And so you feel safe expressing your emotions in front of anyone, because you trust that if that person is saying, no, fuck this shit, I'm out, this is too much and this is too intense, you're like, it's okay, I've got my own back. I was just offering you the privilege of witnessing my process. And if you don't want to see it and it's too much for you, then please look elsewhere. That's fine. But that works in any relationship. Never feel bad for crying, feeling anger, being overjoyed. How the fuck do you how are we even overjoyed? Can you die of joyfulness or bliss? I don't know, but if I do die, I hope I'm feeling ecstatic and blissful when I do. You know? Why am I sounding Italian right now? That's so weird. Sometimes personalities pop up when I'm speaking my passion. Whatever, all that to say, um, I never hide from my children whenever I'm sad. And I never apologize for crying, whether it's from joy or sadness. I do not apologize for feeling anger. Um, the fact that I will unapologetically feel what I need to feel is how I'm able to not project my emotions on others, because I'm so aware of them that I know exactly how to process and alchemize them. And by the way, it takes about 90 seconds for energy, which is emotions or energy in motion. Emotions are energy in motion. So it takes about 90 seconds for energy to flow through your body. So it does not need to take more than 90 seconds for you to alchemize or transmute an emotion. And I feel like remembering your divine essence and being fully aware and inhabiting fully your body really allows you, it's like an on and off switch of where do I want to go, or not an on and off switch, but like when you have railroads and there's this little switch and it actually like does this to change the direction of the railroad. So it's like you can choose consciously where you want this train to go, your emotional train. So if there's a situation where you're like, holy crap, this is so intense, this could go two way. I can either mutate my gene or transmute my gene towards divineness or towards my ego and darkness. And like you can consciously choose within 90 seconds to do this or this. And it's beautiful that you have that awareness and that you can regulate and just like do, no, no, no. What serves me best is to take that direction. And that's what I will do. Because when you do, you go forward. And whenever you choose to take the dark path through the ego, you'll loop back and you'll come back exactly where you were. So having that conscious ability to choose in that moment what direction you want to take is absolutely divine. Anyways, just wanted to share that with you. So, about generational traumas and patterns. So, your emotional intelligence and emotional intimacy. So, developing both is key to breaking generational traumas. It involves understanding and managing emotions, fostering empathy, and nurturing healthy communication. Self regulation is key. I mentioned self regulation just before. The best thing you can do to protect your children is to protect them from yourself and to teach them to protect themselves. And what I mean that by protect them from yourself is protect them from your own insecurities. And it doesn't mean to never let them see them. It's just to not pass them on or impose your fears and insecurities and limits. Um, so I'll give you an example. Let's say your children is super expressive and she loves to make um, theater shows and everything. She's like 5, and then pretty much every time she sees the neighbor, she's like, "Hey, I just wanna, êtes-vous prêt pour le spectacle? Are you ready for the show?" No, no, no. She's like, blah, blah, blah. Instead of like making that child feel guilty for being so like, wow, because you're thinking, oh no, the neighbors are gonna start thinking that she's really annoying, and you want to protect her from what you anticipate the neighbors are gonna think. No, let her do her thing and let her go through the feeling of abandonment, of rejection. If ever the neighbors start to say her, you know what, hon, not today. You've done it 3 days before that, and now we're like we're good. Like it's okay. We don't feel like seeing this today. Because when you try to protect your children just because you anticipate the reactions of others, not only are you, removing the possibility for the other person to put their limits, but you're also um, protecting your child from going through an experience that is inevitable to feel in life, which is rejection and abandonment. So let them feel that and know that you can regulate and just be there for your child whenever they go through this. So whenever we do that, we're not protecting them, we're protecting ourselves because we fear feeling powerless because our child feels abandonment or rejection. But the best way to protect them is to learn self regulation and to teach them self regulation and protection. Sexuality and with daughters and sons. So as a woman, I think it's our responsibility to fully embrace our sexuality and sensuality and intimacy. So, open and healthy discussions about sexuality with your daughters help break cycles of shame and ignorance. It empowers them to understand and honor their bodies and desires. As I've mentioned before, I think that raising young girls with a better understanding of sexual energy, feminine sexuality, femininity, that is not depicted or tinted by exterior perspective or a man's perspective or patriarchy or religion, uh, it's it's quite simple. It leaves no space for abuse. It leaves no space for obstetrical violence. It leaves no space for mediocre sexuality or sexual experiences. Um, and also embodying that as a mother of sons, you create an example of sacred femininity. And because the child or the son model like has that as a model, he becomes a man that honors that in other women instead of honoring mediocre femininity and not sacred femininity. So yeah, as you know, parents set the standard, and so we choose what we want to do with that. Healing through example, once again, by embodying emotional intelligence, being able to dive into emotional intimacy and a healthy relationship with your own sexuality. You set a powerful example for your daughters, encouraging them to embrace their true selves. As I said before, sexuality was something that was very taboo when I was a child. I could barely ask any question about that, and every time the subject came up, it was extremely uncomfortable. But I became very passionate about that subject, and I became the model of someone who is very passionate to speak about it without any restraints. restraints. And so the girls feel all very comfortable going into that subject and asking their questions and even being curious and expressing their sexuality or their sexual energy. Even at such a young age, I have an older daughter that's 12 and a younger that is 5. And they all at some point have expressed or experienced or been curious about their sexuality, which is absolutely beautiful that they feel safe doing in their own home. Whenever they have questions, they come to me. Even if it's something that might shock others, I'm so happy to be there for them and to be able to respond. And just to give you an example, my 12 years old, which I always encourage her to listen to her body, her intuition. She comes to me at one point and she's like, I'm noticing that I have these urges that I didn't have before, and I know it's my hormones, and I know it's because I've had my period. I understand that it's like a sexual energy, but I don't know what to do with it. And because I don't know what to do with it, I'm feeling more and more angry. Like, isn't that just a fucking beautiful example of how much repressed sexual energy women have? Anyways, side note. And I was like, you know what, girl? I think it's absolutely beautiful that you're able to notice that in your body. And if you want, there are so many tools and things you can do to learn about your own body, and just let me know what you need. And she's like, yeah, I think I'm down to start exploring because it needs to circulate. And I'm like, perfect. And I just got her a starter kit. What is a starter kit? You're going to ask me. I offered her a little wand for her to become comfortable with the inside of her yoni. It's not about penetration, it's about understanding the inside of your body. It's understanding that, how your yoni is extremely important, not only for physiological birth and an ecstatic birth, but also for allowing all the pleasure you're able to feel as a woman inside of you and outside of you. I offered her a yoni egg if she wants to understand how the 3 layers of muscle work in her vagina. I offered her a little tool to stimulate the clitoris because she is allowed to feel more pleasure, and she does not need to feel any shame around that. And so that's the starter kit. And I'm like, if you want any information, feel free to do so. Just know that on the internet, you will find things that have absolutely nothing to do with real life. But if you desire to have more information on real life intimacy, let me know. I'll hook you up. Okay, I didn't have a conversation like that with her, but all that to say, there was no shame around it. There was no taboo. And that's because I am perfectly comfortable with my own sexuality, um, that I was able to provide that information for her. And I actually wish that I did have a model or an adult in my life that was able to share that information with me when I was younger, because I grew up with extreme, like, enormous insecurities regarding sex and sexual intercourse and my connection with my body. Ultimately, gratefully, blissfully, intuition kicked in, experience kicked in. I was able to let ancient knowledge just come down into me and experience things the way they were supposed to be experienced. And God bless Patrick, because he was my partner in discovering all that, and I felt safe to explore that with him. Oh, sorry. Um, oh, there. So, last thing, healing through example. Yeah, that's pretty much what I just said. So, legacy of empowerment. So, your journey of self discovery and embracing your divine essence creates a ripple effect of healing and empowerment. It influences your daughters and sons and future generations to live authentically and joyfully. As you see, joyful, blissful, ecstatic is the way. Vitality through sexual energy. So, honoring sexual energy not only enhances personal vitality, but also transforms how women experience childbirth, birth, and motherhood, fostering a positive and powerful life force. And if you could only imagine, how we are being born into fear and contraction and resistance, when we actually have the potential to bring our children into the world in nothing but joy, ecstasy, orgasmic vibes, comfort, benevolence, grace, and that's all available to us if we do take a moment to contemplate the power that we hold within and that we start exploring it with curiosity. Women hold the power in sacred space to birth a new world. It is our individual and collective responsibility to ensure this power operates divinely. So it is our responsibility to not only remember that about us, but also to acknowledge it, to acknowledge that it's available within every single woman that exists, and to celebrate that. So quick overview of how to find me, what I work, the work I do, use of ecstatic human connection. I don't know, it just sounded cute. Probably going to change it a few times and forever because ultimately I'm just Nadiel. But ultimately, I'm super, super devoted to seeing humans having a beautiful connection with themselves and with others. I have 10 years plus of guidance experience, whether it's by my doula work or coaching. And as you can see, I'm very passionate about ecstasy and infinitely multi passionate. That too will change infinitely. So, as a woman, a mom of four, a dedicated doula, and advocate for orgasmic living, I believe in decolonizing femininity. This means peeling away the layers of social and cultural norms that have been imposed on women over time. It's about challenging preconceived ideas of what a woman should be in her sexuality, her work, her motherhood, her sensuality, her body, and even her spirituality. It's allowing women to define themselves on their own freaking terms, free from the expectations and limits of patriarchal society, which we're definitely stepping out of, which is a very good thing. So here's a quick or brief brief information on how to work with me. Blah, blah, blah. So one-on-one consultations with our like seance, 60 to 90 minutes on Zoom. If you're in the Laval area or Montreal area, I am very pleased to say that we can like meet at a coffee shop and have a seance there. I love doing one-on-ones and being able to touch and feel the person. It's very, very fun. I have couples relational mastery call, which is 90 minutes on Zoom. This is beautiful to really understand the polarity and work on, harmonizing the polarities within the couples. I also offer mentoring, which is personalized and on demand. So this is usually three Zoom calls, as well as vocal coaching throughout the month, which is unlimited. Um, so yeah, that's absolutely fun. My doula services, so preparing for ecstatic birthing and parenting, it's very different from what you would find in conventional birthing preparation. I'm very much about letting you trust yourself, letting your body do the work. And the more information I give on that, the more you mentalize the information and then try to understand if it's okay for what I'm doing. No, no, no. Trust your body, trust your intuition, trust yourself. So it's more about diminishing the resistance and not telling you what to do or what you should be doing. So programs, pretty much all my programs are in French. However, I do have one program that is in English. It's called Divine Femme. And this is where I'm going to set the link in the PDF version. So you can click on here and you'll have free access to Divine Femme. And it's ultimately an introduction to all the versions of yourself that you want to explore. So the inner child, um, the inner adolescent, the inner woman, the inner mother. Um, it gives you a full perspective, or a fuller perspective, or a wider perspective, I should say, of what it is to be a woman. I also go into detail about the infradian rhythm, which is your own feminine cycle, and how it impacts actually the way you live your life. Yeah, that's that. So as I said, feel free to connect anytime you have questions or you want to connect. Here's my handle for IG. You have my website as well as my email, and I will be happy to answer any questions you have. And on that note, I'm wishing you a beautiful and happy exploration, self-exploration, happy remembering of who you are and how absolutely divine you are. Um, yeah, just remember your power. Remember how ecstatic life gets to be. Remember how you have the power to alchemize absolutely anything into everything you desire. And because it's all there, it's all waiting for you. On that note, I really much appreciate that I was able to provide this information to you, and I hope that you enjoyed all of it as much as I did.